Today we discuss Michael Trubisky's future with the Chicago Bears, and is MetLife Stadium a big problem for the National Football League? We take a look at Joe Burrow and what he needs to be a true star in the NFL, and we preview the Monday Night Football, arguably the game of the week. All that on this edition of NFL Recap on Sports Talk. Edition of NFL Recap on Sports Talk. As you know, my name is Cameron Simpson, and I'm glad to make us through Week 3 and bring you what happened in Week 3. There was a lot that went down this week, and we're going to take a look at all the scores at the end so you know how your favorite team did, and we're also going to talk about some of the top storylines coming out of this weekend after watching some of the games. We start with Trubisky. He had a very good game, but honestly was bringing his team to victory, and then was replaced by Nick Foles, Super Bowl champion, MVP, who many think could be the replacement of the one and only Michael Trubisky. I'm not going to lie, I think it is a smart move for the Bears. As much as I think Trubisky isn't going to hurt the team, Nick Foles he's an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, he's a Super Bowl champion, and deserves a spot on a team like that. You know, the Eagles ditch him, and now he's in the Bears, and honestly, it's never a good sign where your top quarterback gets replaced by your backup midway through a game that you're not blowing them out of the water in. So for Trubisky, I still think it's a very big possibility that he's going to be replaced next season. It stinks for him, and it stinks for all you that like him, because he's not a bad person. He's not a bad person when it comes to football and when it comes to out on the field and how he fares. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's also not, I don't think, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and a quarterback that can win for the Bears and consistently win for the Bears like they would want to be. You know, as we heard in recent weeks that the Bears were an option for Tom Brady, but he didn't take it. Trubisky might have been the reason he still has that job. It's because of that. And now they're saying, well, we might get Foles in this main job. It'll be interesting to see who starts in Week 4. It is something to keep an eye out as a Trubisky fan, or even as a Bears fan, or just for the NFL. It's something to keep your eye on and keep your eyes peeled for, is whether or not Trubisky will play in Week 4 against whoever they're playing. I don't know. But we will follow that. Where does he play in Week 4, or does he not? So it's something to keep your eye on as the days and the weeks go on, and as more stories come out, is where does Trubisky go and how does he do it. But Bears had a pretty good game this weekend, and were good at what they did, and they did fine. Foles, though, looked good out there, and he looked cleaner out there, and he looked like he made better passes, and he just looks fresh, and he looks better than Trubisky, and that could be a problem for Trubisky coming down the line. So, to all of you that heard in the open that MetLife Stadium, or watched the game, and now there was another injury at MetLife today, many of you are like, what the heck, and it doesn't look good for MetLife Stadium, I'm going to tell you that. Week 2, the story was injuries. Week 3, the story is still a little bit of injuries, because we still saw some injuries, but I want to not dwell on the injuries as much in this episode as the last one, but I did want to talk about this one thing. This one big debate that I heard last week is people blame some of the injuries. The 49ers are blaming these injuries on the field they play on the playing surface that they were playing on, which is MetLife Stadium. Now, I can't agree or disagree on these arguments. I think both sides have a pretty strong argument when it comes to this. MetLife Stadium is new turf, and sometimes new turf doesn't always work the way it needs to and doesn't always do the best. I can see where people are coming from, and I can see where the 49ers are coming from. The Giants and the Jets both play on this field, so many other teams are going to end up going to MetLife, and I'll be able to see if, well, I want to be interested to see if other teams come together and say, yeah, this field's terrible. There's no, the turf is bad. I just want to see if it's not just the 49ers that are saying this because they just got injuries and they want a reason for this. I did hear that the NFL was looking into MetLife Stadium because of these reports, and honestly, I think it's a big possibility that there could be serious issues with MetLife Stadium. Now, I hope that they don't have to tear up the stadium and put new turf down, but there is a good possibility that we will and we are having issues there with the turf. And seeing another player get hurt in this game just supports that argument that more and more people are getting hurt and more people are getting injured, and that just, you know what I mean, that fires that argument. And people all over the place are saying MetLife Stadium just needs to be shut down. The NFL looks into these things, and they look into things. Sometimes they overlook things. Let's just say the NFL looks into a lot of stuff. They'll definitely be looking into this week, and we'll see what they come up with. They wouldn't have played this week, though, if there was a serious issue with the field, because NFL would have already looked at it, and the NFL would have already known that there was a serious issue with MetLife Stadium. So I know many people are out there saying, yeah, the field is having issues and needs to be taken care of and it needs to be fixed. I get those arguments, but I also get the people that are out there saying, well, I mean, it's just one team. It's just the 49ers, and they're the only ones complaining about the stadium being a problem. So we'll see what happens. In my personal opinion, I think the NFL is going to let it go, and I think it's just going to be a storyline that fades out in the next few weeks. But it's something I want to bring to your attention. Another injury for the 49ers from the field of MetLife Stadium, and that could be a problem. They don't want that. They don't want to see more and more injuries coming out of their stadium. Honestly, who does? So we'll see what happens when next week comes around and we see more teams playing there. And if there is another injury on that field and the NFL makes a big announcement that they're tearing up the field or anything, stay tuned here because I will have that for you on the channel and I will make a video. But I just wanted to let you know that another person got injured at MetLife. I think it will be fine, but we'll see what happens for that. Joe Burrow, he must be one of the hotter NFL players right now, the one that is more in the conversation right now. He's got some news on him, and we have to talk about him because he's on fire. I mean, even though he's lost more than he's won, it's mainly because of the team he's on right now, the Bengals. Historically, and even now, the Bengals seem to have a curse. They get a really good quarterback. Game one, they need a field goal to run it to overtime. And they can't kick the field goal at all. They can't get the field goal in. Their kicker has a problem with his leg. They can't get it in. And boom, we have an issue there. Then they lose to the Browns on Thursday Night Football. The Browns. I think that should have been a game they won and they didn't win. And that caused some... just happened. People were ultimately upset that the Bengals didn't win. Then they come into this week tying the game 23-23. Since the rules of overtime for football are weird, and I don't think it should have been 23-23. I think that should have been different, but I'm not the one that makes those decisions. The NFL does. I think they should continue to do overtime, but with the National Football League, it can be tough. But anyway, besides the point, they tied. They tied 23-23, and Joe Burrow is one of the only reasons they could even be in contention for a playoff team. They are a 1-2 team. Pretty good start to the season. Competitive start to the season, I would say. They're a team that in every game they played, some way down the line, had a chance. Part of that, though, has to be having Burrow on the quarterback because You can't just change your team like that over the offseason where they're competitive every day. It has to be because of the quarterback. But I think Joe Burrow is a real talent that seriously could be a Super Bowl contender, but not with the Bengals. Not with the current status he's at. And definitely not with the Jets. And definitely not with any of these other teams. But Joe Burrow could be a competitor if he can somehow get out of Cincinnati. Now, I'm not saying Cincinnati can improve. I'm not saying they can't improve in the next few years. They could definitely improve and become a competitor. I kind of see them trying to rebuild their organization as they have Joe Burrow with them on the quarterback. But they are just not a Super Bowl team. They're not going to beat the Ravens, and they're not going to beat the Chiefs, and they're not going to they're not going to beat the Patriots, and they're not going to beat so many of these teams with the organization they have right now. And unless they can rebuild dramatically, they're going to lose Joe Burrow. His contract is probably a big one, since it's the rookie contract. They normally sign them for 3 to 4 years, so he's stuck in Cincinnati for a while. But honestly, I think he can really get a good opportunity come 3 years down the line, because the NFL will change come then, and there'll be deals out there, and there'll be quarterbacks who are retiring because, we all expect that Drew Brees retires at the end of this season, and Jameis Winston takes the spot, but we saw Winston not do great with the Buccaneers, throw 30 picks. I think better coaching for Winston will help that, but maybe the Saints are looking for a quarterback come a few years down the line. Brady will be out of the Buccaneers. He'll be gone. He'll be out of that camp. And that is a Super Bowl winning team with Tom Brady right now. And if they keep those players, Joe Burrow could be a Super Bowl champion with that team. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. Tampa Bay will be looking for a quarterback, we all assume, after the end of next season, because Brady's contract was only a 2-year contract. So Joe Burrow could land a spot there for Tampa. And then not only can that happen, we're looking at teams all around the league. The Patriots still has uncertainty. Will they sign Cam Newton again? Will they go with Stidham? Or what will happen? Burrow could end up there. Burrow could end up with the Dolphins, the Jets, so many of these teams, but the Jets aren't really an upgrade from the Bengals. He can end up, there's so many teams across the league. The Chargers, they have some problems in quarterback right now, some injuries. So we can see what can happen come 3 years down the line. There could be so many other teams looking for quarterbacks. We don't know. And for Burrow, I think he's going to get an opportunity. He's going to get a real-life opportunity where he can go win a Super Bowl. And I hope he does, because he's one of the better competitors out there, one of the better quarterbacks. LSU, he was great, and now he comes here to the NFL, got to Cincinnati in the draft. That's what happens when you're the top guy. You always, sometimes in the NFL that's a disadvantage because you get the worst team. But yeah, I agree. It's going to be, we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens with him, and we'll continue to follow that. Tonight, Monday Night Football on ESPN. It's a showdown between two great teams. The Chiefs play the Ravens. I just wanted to preview this match real fast before I take a look at all the matches from the night. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, and the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. The Ravens, I know both teams right now are 2-0. End of the night, somebody will be 1-2, but I'm looking at this. 2-1. Now, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I'm looking at this. The Chiefs has just not been consistent the last few weeks, and I think they're going to get demolished. I think they're going to get demolished by this team in the I just had a brain fart. In the Ravens, they have a core group, they have a core offense. Lamar Jackson, I think he's slightly better than Patrick Mahomes right now. Not like consistently, but he's slightly better than Mahomes right now. Mahomes can change that tonight with a win, but we'll see what happens. So, yeah, it's time for a trip around the league. We're going to take a look at every little thing here all the scores. I got them pulled up. Ready, set, let's go. The Dolphins beat the Jaguars 31-13. The 49ers kill the Giants 36-9. Browns really, I think, upset Washington 34-20. Washington just, they might be looking for a quarterback soon too. So, hey, stay hoping. The Bengals and the Eagles tie at 23, the first tie of the season. The Raiders and the Patriots, well, the Patriots beat them 36-20. The Bears beat the Falcons 30-26. The Bills beat the Rams 35-32. They almost gave that one up. Good for them to win. Steelers and the Texans, well, the Steelers win 28-21. Titans beat the Vikings 31-30. Panthers beat the Chargers 21-16. A little bit of a upset, but a quarterback got hurt in that match. Keep an eye on that. The Colts demolished the Jets 36-7. The Cowboys and the Seahawks were in a really good game at the end, but the Seahawks end up coming up on top to the Cowboys. The Lions beat the Cardinals 26-23. The Buccaneers beat the Broncos 28-10. The Packers beat the Saints by a touchdown in Sunday Night Football 37-30. And the Chiefs and the Ravens kick off tonight at 8:15 on ESPN. That was your trip around the league, looking at all the scores from last night's game. I hope your team did well. If they didn't, hopefully they can get better at Week 4. And that's where I'll see you next time. Week 4, NFL. Can't wait for it. Thanks for watching this video. Have a fabulous day, and peace out.